Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back, and thanks for coming back. If you've ever seen my channel before, it's pretty evident that I love Dark Souls, but I've never sat down and really thought about why I'm so drawn to it. And it's not just playing the game. I watch videos of others playing it, listen to people talk about the lore of the world and the characters and their motivations. I sat through hour-long videos on the most obscure mechanics and parts of the game. I have 100%ed every game in the trilogy, some of them multiple times. I've beaten the game so many countless times, and in endless ways. I have spent hours hearing others talk about why they love Dark Souls, how much it means to them. I've listened to them be vulnerable and tell everyone who will listen how it gave them some new perspective on life, or shown them that they should never give up. I resonate with both of these points, but why? I'd like to start off with the parts of Dark Souls that I enjoy. The combat, of course, is a good place to start. While it is slower, jankier, and less refined than its younger siblings, it still holds its value. Everything, well, almost everything in the game is viable. There's a ton of variety. You've got swords, daggers, spears, axes, and the list goes on. On top of that, there's magic of all kinds. The combat can be slow. You can take your time and think, and then approach each new enemy or group, any way and as carefully as you'd like. But there's also moments where Dark Souls requires you to be quick, to use all the skills you have, or it forces you to cope, to learn new skills, approach the challenge from a new angle, try using something you haven't before, and no matter how many times you fall or fail, you can always try again, as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't lose hope. Another thing I enjoy about Dark Souls is the world. The lore of it is fascinating, of course, but also the world itself that we get to explore in-game. This is something its younger siblings miss. The world of Dark Souls is very interconnected. Paths branch and reconnect to one another. This gives you a chance to rest, to know you can stop and refuel, or re-estus in this case, and continue. After playing the game so many times, Lordran feels like home. It seems like I know every inch. I can sprint through the game, avoiding nearly every obstacle, or fight through entire areas, knowing exactly where to stop, stand, and sprint. I'm pretty sure I know where every single item is, and if somebody were to ask me where something is, I could probably answer without much pause. I could never have gotten this familiar with the world if it wasn't as well put together and enjoyable to explore as it is. A common feeling among Souls players is the relief of seeing Firelink after taking the elevator from the Undead Parish. And you can find moments like this all throughout the game, where you're exploring a new area and it loops back to somewhere you've been before, giving you a place to rest and then continue. I've always enjoyed games where I can immerse myself in my character, and to shape them into whatever I want. I very often used to create stories for my characters and shape my build around them, sometimes using suboptimal builds to fit my character better. I could spend hours finding the perfect armor to fit my vision, the perfect weapon so they can achieve their goals. Dark Souls is almost the perfect environment for this. There aren't any NPCs or epic quests thrown in your face unless you're looking for it. As I've said before, almost everything is viable, so you can use anything. And there's plenty of buffs, rings, and consumables to make up for any shortcomings because of my strange or suboptimal choices. Plus, you can find almost every style of weapon and magic early in the game, so you can feel immersed into your character right away. And while this way of making up your own stories in games is mostly a relic of my childhood, I still look back fondly and think of the characters that I would create. A discussion of the bosses is bound to come up on any video essay on Dark Souls, and for good reason. 90% of them are well thought out, interesting, or unique in their own way, and fighting them with different builds can lead to many different experiences. A boss you breeze through with your bonk build might be a wall to overcome with your dex one, or vice versa. Once you've mastered the game to a certain extent, the in-between becomes less important, and getting to the spectacle of each boss is what you're going to look forward to. This isn't a knock on the areas surrounding a boss, but a testament to how good the bosses themselves are. One of the biggest reasons you would even do a challenge run in this game is to overcome all the bosses with the restrictions you've placed on yourself. There's few feelings as bright and intoxicating as beating a boss for the first time on your first few runs, especially when you're stuck on it for a long time. The boss that comes to mind for me is actually in Dark Souls 3. the Princes of Lothric. I was never a fan of Dark Souls 3. It took me about 6 years to beat the game for the first time after it was released. I had heard so many good things about the game, but every time I tried to play it, I was never immersed, never bought in. So I decided if nothing else, I was going to beat it once so I could say that I did. And I got all the way to the Twin Princes, which if you don't know is basically the end. You're so close at this point, but I didn't know that. I fought them every day for as much time as I could dedicate. Sometimes a few attempts, sometimes for hours, and after over a week, I truly gave up. For months, I never picked the game back up, until I almost jokingly picked up the game again, got about 2 hours in, and quit. I reloaded my old save file, I respec'd my character multiple times, used different weapons, and finally, I beat them. The feeling was like feeling the sun for the first time after a long winter. It instantly cleared my mind. Whatever I was going through at the time was completely subdued by this accomplishment. I was grinning like an idiot for an hour, even after dying to the next boss. But that feeling pushed me to beat the rest of the game. And what would the bosses be without the OST? The music of any video game can make it or break it in my opinion. And I don't think there's much that I can add to this conversation other than my own opinion. I love the music. It's epic, bombastic, and even calming at times. The music in combination with the bosses teasing out our dearest emotions. To get myself enveloped in Dark Souls to write this, I'd listened to the OST the entire time. I could see the arenas and the bosses during parts of the tracks I was listening to. I could see parts of the game so clearly while listening to it, it felt like I was taking a character through the game. This to me is evidence enough that the music in this game is fantastic. So, let's circle back to what I said near the start. I've listened to people be vulnerable and tell everyone who will listen how it gave them some new perspective or shown them that they shouldn't give up. I resonate with both of these points, but why? My entire adult life, I've spent fighting, searching for a place to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel cared for, and around every corner I found pain. I've been stripped of what made me myself. I've had my smile stolen and left in an endless sea of anxiety, fear at every noise, walking around broken glass every day afraid of my own emotions, afraid to be pulled back into the abyss, no matter how far I've come, no matter how much progress I think I've made. One memory can transport me back to my own living hell. To be left debilitated and dissociated for hours, sometimes weeks. I never felt safe for a long time. And what is Dark Souls through all this? Comfort, familiarity, safety. Let's take a look at the most basic example. As I've stated before, I know every inch of this world. I know where every item is, I know where every enemy is, and I know what to expect around every corner. What are these examples if not familiarity and comfort? I can explore a world I know intimately in new ways I never have before. I can still, after all this time, come up against a wall or a challenge and overcome it in my own time. I know as long as I never truly give up, I can and I will prevail. When things get difficult, I fall back, come to the bonfire to rest. No enemies to bother me, just time to reflect in safety and try again. This is why I resonate with the points from earlier so much. Dark Souls for me is what I was looking for, and it started in much the same way. Fighting and searching for a place to feel safe like a bonfire. There was pain around every corner, and everything is scary on your first playthrough. Even walking away from the Princes of Lothric. I was able to gather my courage and try again until I was able to overcome. Even if it took me a while. And all of these things I was able to do thanks to Dark Souls, in the relatively low-stakes environment of a video game. I completely understand that Dark Souls is just a video game, but it gave me the space and the time to work through my emotions, even if I didn't know it. Dark Souls gave me a space to fail and to fall in a safe and reassuring way, even if I didn't realize it. In fact, writing all this out truly made me realize a lot of things I may have known subconsciously but never wrote or voiced aloud. It made me see I have come a long way. I am safe. I am loved. I am cared for. It's taken a lot not to give up. And I'm sure I have my own curse mark like the undead of Dark Souls. a scar I'll carry forever. I will fully admit, writing out some of these things, especially the more personal paragraph, made me cry. I had to stop and let myself feel these emotions, which is something I still have a habit of stopping myself from doing. I want to end this on a positive note though. Things now aren't perfect, and I still have a lot to work through, and life will probably never be easy. I don't think I'll ever find a space that is completely devoid of hardship, but come what may, I will fight. I will hold on to my humanity, and I will never go hollow.